I am hoping we're going live with audio, but we'll see. I'm waiting to see if I have sound. I do have sound, finally. I do have sound, finally. Okay. Phew. I don't know what it is. I wonder if there was some kind of update on my phone that is messing with my audio. So, welcome. It's Lori, Late Night Lori, from Lori's Little Bit of Craftin'. And my iPad is set up, but it's acting kind of wonky. My computer seems like it's all right. So, welcome. Let me do a couple of quick announcements. My computer seems like it's all right. We still have sound, so I think we're good to go. Merry Christmas. Merry late Christmas Eve. I did try to go on before midnight. YouTube, I think this is like the third night in a row. Maybe this is, I don't know, symbolic or something. I don't know what to say. But I am Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, coming to you late, but it was supposed to be Wednesday, December 24th at 11:59 p.m. So I have a new store link website, which is latenightlori.stampinup.net. Catch me there after all of the hubbub of the holidays ends. I will be adding more of my projects there with shopping carts so that you can see all of the things that I use in case you miss it in a video or if I don't mention. And then if you want to recreate what I've recreated, at least you'll have an idea of what I used. All right. So it looks like my picture is elongated again. I apologize for that. And you know, these Google Pixels were supposed to have like the best camera, and I don't know why it doesn't. But I think I'll have to do a little research and see if somebody else is having some issues. So we'll just do the best we can. We have a new catalog coming out on January 6th. I can only show you the cover. I cannot show you the pages inside until January 6th, unless you're on my team, in which case you should have access to your catalog, or you would have been able to claim your paper catalog. If you want one of these, and if you're not a demonstrator or if you do not have a demonstrator, reach out to me. I would be more than happy to share a catalog with you. January 6th, this will go live. I can show you things that I own from this catalog, though, and projects. So hang around for those. Who's going to Onstage? If you don't know what Onstage is, you're obviously not a demonstrator, because this is like our biggest event of the year. When we see all the new things coming, we get our hands on new catalogs, we get to network with other demonstrators from literally around the world. And it is just an awesome time. I have not missed it since I joined. So I will be in Long Beach. If you're not a demonstrator, or even if you are, if you're on my team and you want to join me, hit me up and ask me any questions. We've got until January 16th to get registered. Or before if it fills up, which has happened. So Stampin' Up! Is also doing a virtual card retreat. I've talked about this at least for the last few days. January 22nd and 23rd, Mountain Time from 2 p.m. until 9 p.m. I'm in Wisconsin, so this is going to be from 3 p.m. till about 10 p.m. Stampin' Up! Is going to lead these sessions. We're going to do 15 high-level cards. We're going to learn more about certain tips, maybe how to use our dies differently. We're going to make 15 cards. Stampin' Up! Has released the samples of the cards. They're stepped up, so this would not be for the faint of heart. And if you feel pressured, you can always just, for time, trying to keep up, you can just watch and you can go back to the videos. They will be live, downloaded, uploaded back onto Facebook again, so we will have them on demand long afterwards, all right? So those of you joining me, welcome. Merry Christmas. Let me know where you're joining from. Feel free to chime in. We're going to case a card tonight. So hopefully I will be kind of quick. Last night we were done in under an hour, so I'm starting a little late again because YouTube didn't want to let me be heard. So with this virtual card retreat, we also get a supply list. There's going to be a preparatory video released about a week before the event. That'll go through all of the cutting instructions. The kit includes almost everything that you need. Paper, cardstock. The designer series paper is exclusive to this. It's not our normal two-sided in that the back side, so the B side, actually has cutting lines for us so that we know where to cut and what project they belong to. So it's the retreat that you purchase. It includes your access to the online event and on demand afterwards. But the kit has everything, cardstock, envelopes, flip-flops, the laser cut pieces that we'll use as like ephemera, the designer series paper, there's embellishments, there's an exclusive stamp set, there's a pre-release bundle, which is a stamp set and a set of dies. It's loaded with fun stuff. I'm really looking forward to this. If you are local to me and want to do a watch party, you do need to purchase the retreat because there are parts and pieces in there that I need to use for my project, so I'm not going to be able to share them. So you do need to have your own kit. But let me know if you're planning on doing that. And I will have a special gift for those that actually get that retreat, whether you come and watch it with me or not. So if you get the retreat from me, let me know. Sometimes I get notified of orders coming in and sometimes there's a little delay. So reach out if you're interested or have any questions. So we're again going to use this True Blue Florals. This is the brand new program from Stampin' Up that is the product of the month. So Stampin' Up with a qualifying purchase is offering an exclusive product that you can purchase one of. And a qualifying order is $75 or more. So that would be before tax and shipping. Good evening, Tanya. Merry Christmas. It is 12:17 a.m. here in Wisconsin in the United States. So some people are just getting all their Santa Claus stuff set up for the little ones. We did Christmas Eve with my husband's daughter and her family. MacMan just went to bed a little bit ago, so I'm doing my little quickie video. And we'll do more Christmas later. So I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. So tonight we're going to case this card. I have most of the parts and pieces, I think, prepped because I was anticipating maybe YouTube problems again. YouTube didn't let me down. We had a little bit of issues, but we have cased all of these cards. So these 5 cards we've cased. So I'm going to case this one here. And I'm going to leave that right up here. Hopefully it'll be in view. And this is the paper. So I think I have one full sheet. Otherwise, I'm down to just parts and pieces of this. And I'm looking at the recipe for this card. And it is giving me the items that I need, but it doesn't give instructions, right? It doesn't give measurements for the cards. So the recipe says for the stamps, we need the Beautiful Motifs photopolymer set, the stamp set. And that's because the sentiment on here is this thinking of you. I'm not particularly crazy about this font. So we've bypassed that font before. And I think, Tanya, you might have been the one that suggested using the thinking of you from Friendly Foliage. So that's the one we're going to use. And I have it all mounted up, ready to go. And we've got some different cardstock. We've got the designer series paper, of course. The inks, we're going to do a little bit of coloring, so I have my blends out. And it also calls for the Pretty Florals dies and the Gallery Blooms dies. So I did pull out the Gallery Blooms dies, but I, for the life of me, when I look at the sample, cannot see what dye was used. I do not know what dye they used. And let me see if I can look at it one more time, but I am just not seeing the dye. So we're not going to case this exactly like the Stampin' Up version because I can't figure out where that was. So we're going to bypass that. I did use my textured notes dies, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But then we also have the Pretty Florals. So what we used from the Pretty Florals was just the flowers and the stems from this set. All right, so we've got the stems and we've got the flowers. And luckily these come out cut out 3 at a time. So I did a couple of sets of those just in case I mess up. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these dies away because I did that die cutting ahead of time, partly because it's a holiday, right? And my husband even said, "Are you doing a video? Stampin' Up would be so proud of you." And I said, well, Sarah Douglas did a video today, so I should probably do a video. And our postal carriers work today. We got mail today, or on Christmas Eve. So I think I can do a video. And I don't know where this one has to be here. I'm just gonna have to stick that there and have a little bit of overlap, I guess. I don't know how that was on there before. But I just want to get these out of the way. So Tanya, did you have a good Christmas? Did you host anything? Did you celebrate with anyone? Have you done any crafting? All right, so again, I'm going to leave this here. So I'm using a piece of thick basic white cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5. It's scored at 4 1/4. I have already folded and burnished that. Here's my extra because you know I like to cut 2 at once. We are going to have a choice. I cut 2 card front basically. This is a designer series paper per the sample, or we could go with a lighter version. For our, depending on if we want a light palette or a dark palette. All right. I kind of like the dark one because I really like that paper. And I almost thought I didn't have enough left, but I found some. Okay. And then we're using the gold paper because we're going to make a layer here. And then you can see behind here, there's a little like wallpaper layer. I cut that. And let's just see here. So this is 4 1/4 by 5.5. This piece of gold is 3 by 4 1/4. This little wallpaper piece that's in the back is 2.5 by 3 3/4. This is our frame. That's this floral frame here. And that I did at 2 3/4, actually 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. So that was a little different size. But I used my textured notes dies to kind of gut out the center of that layer. And the thing about these dies is that it cuts around the edge, but the design is only on the inside piece that you're cutting out. So it gave me a straight edge on the outside. So I didn't have to fight with my trimmer to try to get those lines in there and not have lines extend past where I really wanted to cut, because I think that takes away from the look sometimes. I see it on like picture mats from time to time where, you know, somebody's cut the mat and they haven't gotten the lines quite right. And I think it just, it takes away from the look of the picture or the card. All right. So I'm going to get these put away. And we're going to start gluing things together. So if you're watching, Here is the light color palette, and here is the dark color palette. Any opinions on what we should have? And then these are going to be for our sentiment. We're going to do a little layering with the gold behind that sentiment. But we're going to stamp that in the Night of Navy. And then I'm going to trim it down. So this Thinking of You is just a very pretty font. And we could do Night of Navy, because that's what they, that's what I like, because I like the contrast. But what they did for the sample is Balmy Blue. So I'm going to show you what it looks like both ways, and we can kind of decide if we want the light color palette or the dark color palette. I just really like the contrast with the navy. So this card, if you've got all the pieces prepped, it goes quite quickly. And I'm not sure that this is showing up a whole lot here. We'll see. See, that to me is really light. Of course, they did it on white. It might have looked better on white. Let's give that a whirl and see if that looks any better. It's just very light. So personally, I like the darker version. And I'm not hearing from anybody else, so I'm hoping you're still there with me. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the dark version, just because there's more contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. And I'm actually going to go grab another bottle of glue. Just because I know that other one is really close to empty. So this piece is 4 1/4 by 5. I don't remember if I said that or not, but it is the same size as my card base. And since they are the same size, I'm just going to go ahead and use my glass mat as my alignment device. Good thing I didn't put that on upside down. It just now occurred to me I might have had it upside down. All right, then we're going to do the gold piece. Now the gold piece on the sample looks like it's up on dimensionals, but this framing piece also is up on dimensionals. So I'm kind of in a quandary. It might make it too thick for mailing purposes, but because this is inside and this is smaller, we might, it might work. If I have to pay extra postage, I have to pay extra postage, or maybe I will just give it to somebody rather than putting it in the mail. We'll see. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put this on the sides too so that this doesn't collapse. All right, I'm going to get my Take Your Pick tool because that is so much faster for me and easier on my fingers. So we will put this in the center, and it's a shame to cover up so much of that paper, but at least I have it so that these flowers are peeking up around the top, so that'll be good. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this piece down next, just because that frame needs to go on top of there, and I have these cut so that the inner piece that's going to go on here is slightly smaller. All right, I didn't cut them the same size. And we're gonna use our Stampin' Seal. I prefer using Stampin' Seal on any of our metallic papers, just because if I use the multi-purpose liquid glue, it takes longer to set, and I don't like to risk having it shift. All right, so we will try to put this kind of in the center. And I just noticed that I didn't put my little welcome message on there. I was too busy watching to see if we had sound. Now, this piece is going to go on here, but it's definitely going to be raised like a shadow box. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and take care of these flowers, because we are going to stamp and color. All right, so here I want to stamp, and it doesn't say garden green for any ink, so I'm going to use balmy blue, and we're going to see how it looks. If it doesn't show up enough, I figure we can always go get the garden green and do another layer, and it should be fine, or I have another piece cut out. So let's go ahead and hope that that's kind of lined up, because I can't put my head over the camera. Let's zoom this in a little bit more. Maybe. There we go. So you can see a little bit better what this looks like. So that actually looks okay. It's shifted down a little lower than I would have preferred, but these flowers are going to go over the top, so I think it'll be fine. And putting the balmy blue on the garden green actually just makes it look like a darker green. So, food for thought. If you don't have all of the colors when you're doing a project, sample out how colors look together, because sometimes they turn out just fine. All right. Now, the reason that I don't want to put this down is because to me it looks like these stems might be inside the frame. It's hard to tell on here. They might just be behind the sentiment. So the flowers might just be behind the sentiment or the stems. But I'm going to make sure that they go behind that frame, because I just don't want them hanging out in the middle of nowhere. All right. So let's go ahead and put some mini dimensionals here. And I'm going to see if I can find my stack of blue ones or dark ones. Just making sure I still had sound. I didn't expect we would have a big crowd tonight just because it was a holiday. But I also know that some people might be alone for the holiday and might want a little crafting companionship. So tomorrow I am likely not going to do a live video, just because we will be going not too far, but out of town to celebrate the holiday with family. All right, so that's ready to go. And then let's go ahead and color these flowers. Now, the sample gives me Calypso Coral, Daffodil Delight, so Calypso Coral here, Daffodil Delight, and then Bubble Bath. So I'm just going to kind of follow their lead. I'm going to use my light Daffodil Delight. And these flowers are all shaped just slightly different, but the nice thing with the die is that it cuts all three at the same time. So I didn't have to fussy cut anything. It was really nice. So I'm going to take this yellow, the Daffodil Delight, and I'm just pretty much going to prime the whole flower. I'm not going to worry too much about filling into every edge. All right. And then I'm going to take the dark one, and there are already lines cut in here from the die. So I'm just going to highlight those a little bit. And then I'm going to take this And I'm going to take the brush end actually. And we're just going to fill in a little bit there. And then I'm going to go back with the light one and blend that a little bit. See how that forces the ink to disperse? All right, and then I think we can go in again and just do a little bit more on these lines here while the paper is pretty damp. And some of that will do some self-distribution. All right, so we're done with the yellow one. Let's put a dimensional on there. It's a little damp. I probably could have let it wait a little bit, but I think it'll be all right. So then let's do the same with Calypso Coral. And we're just gonna, this is the light. This is the dark. We're gonna highlight some of these lines that are already on there. Now the other one I use the bullet point, and this one I'm just using the brush because I want that bolder color in there. So let's just try to blend this a little bit here and let them do their thing. All right, so that one's ready to go. I am going to let that one dry for just a second. And now we're going to do the bubble bath for the last one. And then we'll cut down that sentiment and get that attached with the frame, and we'll be done. All right, that's that. Let's put a dimensional on here. And another dimensional here. And then I'm going to get my adhesive strips. And I'm going to use adhesive strips on the back of this frame piece. So this is the side I want up. So let's just pull these out here. I'm going to cut that in half actually, and I'm going to extend it to the ends. And we'll leave that little bit in the middle because I don't want the corners. I don't want the corners to collapse in. It would help if I would get that adhesive side where it needs to be. So here we'll go ahead and just lay part of that down. Just snip a little bit of that off. Now this little piece here I can save for another project. And then we'll just snip here. I just kind of eyeballed it, how long we would need it. All right. So now with this stem, when we go put it in here, tucked, I don't have any of that adhesive strip right in the middle where it needs to go. So I'll just be able to tuck that without any trouble with it hanging up on adhesive. That was my intention, but it worked out really well without trying too hard. All right, And again, I'm making sure that I've got my design going in the direction I want it. Same with this one. And I want to just be careful that I don't have this scrunched up at all so that it lays nice and flat. And then we can take these pieces off. We are almost done. Pretty quiet out there. We got crickets tonight. Tanya, perhaps you're doing some crafting on your end, so you're busy. And there's nobody to chit chat with, so let's just go ahead and tuck that back there. I just want to make sure some of these leaves are over the top. All right. And then we'll get these on. And there's actually like a rounded piece on these stems to set your flower on. And that's really nice if you're using liquid glue. I'm using a dimensional, so it doesn't really matter. There we go. And then for the sentiment, we're going to go ahead and trim this. Normally I would just go on my trimmer so that I'm sure I'm getting it nice and straight, but we're gonna wing it. And then if I cut this at an angle, I can take this corner piece, flip it 180 degrees, and use that as a template to cut the other side, and then I'll have the same angle. Okay, and then we're going to use a gold strip underneath that, and I'm going to cut this narrower because I just want to strip like thinner behind my sentiment. And then we're going to go ahead and cut this angled as well. And I'm just lining it up eyeball wise so that I follow the angle of the balmy blue piece. And then we're going to use some Stampin' Seal to attach it to the gold piece. And try to get it centered. And then, let me get these out of the way and pull over our sample again. And it has the sentiment way down at the bottom. But I'm not sure we're going to do ours at the bottom. I'm going to eyeball it in just a second. Because if we put this down here, we kind of cover up all the stems. I think I kind of like it up at the top instead. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue just on these sides. And then I'm going to put double dimensionals in the center so that it holds it up. And I'm actually using some of the dimensionals that are around the edges here, because I've used all the other ones, so I just have them snipped already. And then we'll get some glue on these sides. Just a little bit. The house was kind of quiet today. Our granddaughter went home, I think to help her mom with Christmas stuff. And then we went over there, but she'll be back again on Friday to stay with us for the day. So now we need to decide if we need some embellishments, and I think we do. And I'm going to go ahead and use these, I think. I'm thinking maybe the balmy blue ones. can't decide if I want to do the white ones. I've used up the little ones on this pack. I don't usually go through my embellishments this quick, but these have been so fun to work with. I'm going to do one there, and then we're going to do two over here. So we're going to do one that kind of looks like it fell behind, and then we'll do another one up on here. And I think that'll be good. So let's take a look at this along with the sample. And there we go. So there's our card and there's the sample. So I think one of the differences here is that I did my top layers, the grouping, a little wider. This seems like it's longer and narrower. So I think if I would have made mine narrower, but I didn't really like how it looked because like I said, I was getting this prepped ahead of time. And I had my gold piece cut narrower and I just didn't like the look of it in person. All right. And then the other thing is, now I'm seeing something else here where these stems are on top of the flowers, and that might make those flowers look a little less naked. So I'm going to try to pull those out because they do look like they're just kind of hanging there on a thread. There we go. So you can actually do your glue on the back of that knob there if you were going to use liquid glue. So let's just pop these out. That does look way more realistic. And then I don't know if this one needs to come out or not. Let's try to lift this up and see if I can get that popped out without getting my head in the camera way. There. I think that does maybe look a little bit better. They look a little less naked. All right. So there we go. And the flowers are in a different arrangement, but that's good. But I like it with the sentiment at the top too, I think. So that's all I have for you tonight. Tanya, if you're still there, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Christmas day. And thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and put this back out a little bit. Thank you for stopping by. All right, that's all I've got. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. Until next time, happy crafting.